Kilombo, music, technology, fun.
היי, כאן צוות קילומבו מברלין. אנחנו הגענו במיוחד למטה הראשי של נייטיב אינסטרומנטס לכבוד הכרזה על מוצר חדש ומעניין מאוד, חבר חדש למשפחת מאשין, קוראים לו מאשין ג'אם. אתם יכולים לראות כבר כאן את המוצר ואת המכונה הזו שמביאה בעצם גישה חדשה לתוך העולם של מאשין, ולצורך העניין אנחנו בעצם פוגשים את המוצר הזה, ראינו אותו בפעם הראשונה לפני דקה וחצי בערך, ולצורך העניין הצטיידנו בבוריס מצגה, שהוא בעצם הפרודקטס ספשייליסט של נייטיב אינסטרומנטס ואחד מהאחראים על מאשין. אז ניתן לבוריס לומר לנו בכמה מילים מה חדש במאשין. היי בוריס.
Hello, nice to see you here in Berlin.
Thank you very much. We would like to hear in a few words and maybe see a small demonstration of the new Maschine Jam.
Yeah, it's an honor for me to present you the freshest member of our Maschine family. So what you see here on the table is our new Maschine Jam, and it's possible to connect Maschine Jam to the normal Maschine software. So there's no new software coming up. It's just like with any other Maschine controller. Just take your Maschine software and connect any controller you want. So Maschine Jam is basically giving us a new perspective on the Maschine software. Whereas Maschine MK2 and Maschine Studio and Maschine Micro are more tailored towards a sample editing workflow. So you would record samples, chop them there, and then play them on the pads. Maschine Jam is more focused towards pattern launching and actually like modifying of the musical elements here on the fly to come up with ideas in the studio, but also to use it as a tool live on stage to come up with like nice arrangements and ideas on the fly. So I would just like go over here and lead you quickly through all the different parts and segments of the device if you want.
We would love it. Thank you.
Great. So basically the device is separated into two parts. The first part is this 8x8 click pad matrix over here, and this is very important because it's really click buttons over here. So we hear this little clicky clacky feedback going on. They are not velocity sensitive, which is cool because this is also a step sequencer, and when we think about step sequencing, it's really good to have this click behavior. Yes, it's an on and off behavior. So you have these 8x8 buttons that allow you to launch patterns and also scenes. And the second part of Jam is this very powerful touch strip section. They are called the smart strips. And you have 8 of them, and each of them can change the function. And to make it a little bit more obvious, I will explain it to you in detail now. It's a lot of LEDs, it's over 300 LEDs that have been built in here. It's a lot of buttons and it's a lot of information. We are living in an age of information overkill. So what I like to do to explain it a little bit better is to reduce information. And it becomes clear that when I do this, that Jam is actually, it's like a channel strip system, right? It's a little bit like looking at a big audio mixer or something like that. It's confusing at first, but if you take a look at it, you realize, oh, wait a second, it's actually the same thing multiplied by 8 times. So it really makes sense to take a look at one of these channel strips like just solo to make sure the functions are explained a little bit better. So we see now one vertical column here, and this is representing a musical element. As a Maschine user, you know this could be anything. It can be a drum kit, it can be a synthesizer, it could be effects loops that are arranged in a certain way, or even effects modulation. So all of these things can show up here in that lane. And I will just now select a pattern from that musical element by activating one of these buttons. And now the pattern is activated and we hear a little massive bass line. I have 2 options right now. I can either go to any other pattern of that musical element, like this, or I can deactivate the pattern again, and please listen. The big advantage here is we are working with MIDI clips. So that means when we switch between patterns or when we stop patterns again, we still hear the sustaining of the sound, and it won't be cut off like we would hear when we jam with audio patterns. So this is our MIDI patterns that we can activate down here. Once we selected a pattern, we can go down to the strip and then take the strip to modify the pattern over here with functions that we find on the left hand, on the right hand side. So first and foremost, this is like a volume fader of a mixer. and I can lower the volume or make the volume louder again. But the function of the strip is changing depending on which function I selected here on the left or on the right side. So let's just stay on the left side, because here is all the everyday bread and butter functions. There is a level, there is an aux, so if you have reverb sense, aux and reverb sense, you can bring the reverb in back again. If you have macros, you could use them here. I can go straight to my control section of Maschine, and I can even do crazy things like panning. So shift level allows me to go left and right and do this here. So just with these left-hand functions here, this is enough to work on an everyday basis and tune the element that you selected up here. On the right hand, you find our new Jam exclusive features. So there is a new category of effects called perform effects, which is introduced with Jam, but can also be loaded on any other Maschine controller. So this is not like exclusive in this thing. You can connect any other Maschine controller and this will show up anyway. And the perform effects, they have been specially programmed to be used with the touch strips. That means when I load a perform effect, and I can do this by selecting the group, shift perform effects, and then I see this little ozo here on the computer screen. Maybe you can take a little capture of this. And within this perform effects module, I can select between different algorithms. There's a filter, there's a flanger, burst echo, reso echo, stutter, and like any kind of perform effect. And the special thing about these perform effects is that they are activated by touching the fader. And then you can change the effect and modulate it even further by using your little fingertip on the strip. And if you don't like it anymore, you just let go of the fader and the perform effect will be gone again. So that's the basic idea behind these perform effects. Let's see, you've just heard the stutter, which is one of my favorite. There's a reso echo that allows me to do some delays with saturated delay change. And I have a scratcher in there as well. So this allows me to take any group in Maschine and do this here. Like actually scratch it like a real record and stop it at any time. This is cool for also trap music. Like when we think of Diplo or Cashmere Cat, we hear this a lot. Like he uses a synth and then we hear this breakdowns all the time. So that's it about the perform effects. We will add more of these algorithms by time. For the release, we have 8 different algorithms available that you can choose from here. So that's it for the perform effects. Now you should have kind of gotten an idea of what this thing is about. So I will now actually uncover it again and give you a little idea of how this can be used, this 8x8 matrix together with the smart strips, to come up with a little performance. So this gave you a little idea of what's possible by using this thing in project view together with the smart strips alone. Now the question is, where are all the loops coming from? Where are all the patterns coming from? Do I need a machine to create those? No, there is actually a machine integrated in Maschine Jam. So what I do now is I will deactivate a couple of patterns, will stay with that baseline here. Yeah, I think that's a good one. And I have a little drum kit here in group G. And by the press of a button, this 8x8 pattern matrix transforms into a little mini machine that looks like this. So now we see 16 sounds. This is our normal machine sound. So with this mode, you can actually audition sounds, play different sounds, and use it like a machine. I could press record and then record some sounds here, or just go a step further and use the step sequencer. So what you see here, and this is a big advantage of Jam, you can see the step sequencer and the mini machine layout at the same time. So by selecting the bass kick, you will see the color of the step sequencer is changing, and I can now go in and just add 2 bass kicks, go to the snare drum, and then do this again, right? But in Maschine Jam, I even have a faster way of going there. So I can start up with one sound and then sequence another sound and so on, or I can go quickly into the so-called 4 sound mode. And now let's check this out. By using step in combination with 4, I can make this change. And now we see 4 sounds at the same time. And of course, this allows me to come up with very complicated patterns in record time. So I have now 4 elements that are going on really, really quickly set up. I just go to my song mode quickly. This is where the pattern is. I duplicate that pattern and go back into step mode, adding some stuff. And this is how you would create your little track. Of course, at any time you can use the perform effects to change stuff or make it disappear. You can not only program drum sounds with the step sequencer, it's also possible to use it for melodies. And by doing this, I activate the melody step sequencer. So now we should see a little light running across here, and on the x-axis, on the horizontal axis, there is time, and on the vertical axis we see the pitches of the elements. So if I enter a note here, you can hear there's a note playing, and by successively adding notes I can come up with a little melody. Go to the next page of the pattern, and here I have a little thing going on. You can also play melodies like on a keyboard using the keyboard mode. So I now activated the keyboard mode with the same sound. And I have the option to play it like a keyboard, even with chords, with the chord sets that you know from the Complete Control keyboard. And at any point when we are using melodies, we can touch the encoder, and this will bring up that little window on the software screen that allows me to choose from different scales. So I'm never lost, even if I don't know about harmony theory. Whenever you use melody, just touch the encoder and it will bring up the scale settings here.
Do you use transpose with those arrows?
Yes, if you use this D pad, it's called the directional pad, you can actually change the range where you're in at the moment. So like on a keyboard, octave up, octave down. So now you've seen the traditional ways of entering notes into Maschine software, right? The normal things from Maschine. There's one little secret that I kept up until the very, very end, which is a little bit of my highlight, right? Because for the first time in history of native instruments, we are not using the touch strips only for modifying levels, or in Tractor you would use the touch strip to change the location of the play marker. No, we are using them to play notes, and this is what I'm going to show you now. So I have loaded up an absinthe instrument with a very classic bell guitar sound, and by pressing the notes button on Maschine Jam, the touch strips will transform into chord strips, right? So now each of the touch strips contains a chord of a scale, and I can use this now to come up with a chord progression like this. So this works very, very well with classical sounds, because you can strum the chord and then you hold the finger and it will keep the chord holding. Or you can say, hey, I want a little bit more advanced sounds like rounds from Reactor. Check this out. Or you say, let's think completely outside of the box. Let's take a couple of complete Evolve R2 cinematic samples. And this allows me to come up with musical gestures that just haven't been possible before. So feel free to think outside of the box and use it with other funny sounds. And yeah, this is it. That was Maschine Jam in a nutshell. And I hope you enjoyed it very much.
Wow. Now the only thing we have to do is grab one and, go play with it, because it seems like we have lots of things to do with this one. Bוריס, מצגה, thank you very much for the deep and, inspiring demonstration.
A little additional info, you can use Maschine Jam with any other Maschine controller. So by connecting another Maschine controller, it will just potentiate your functionality. So it's not that it's the one or the other, it's really meant to be like in tandem with the other ones.
אז כמו שאפשר לראות ככה לסיכום של ההדגמה המדהימה הזו, משין ג'ם מכילה בתוכה הרבה יותר ממה שאפשר לראות אולי רק על יחידת הקונטרולר. אנחנו נעשה סרטון נוסף שידבר על המימדים הטכניים ועל המידות של המכשיר, אבל משין ג'ם, מבט ראשון של קילומבו במטה הראשי של נייטיב אינסטרומנטס בברלין. אני מאוד מאוד מקווה שהתחלתם להבין מה הדבר הזה יכול להעניק לכם. משין ג'ם של נייטיב אינסטרומנטס, בקרוב בקילומבו.
קילומבו, co.il